Regressions of rivalry. In my late teens in this lifetime, I was at first baffled by the fact that my otherwise loving and conscientious mother would always find fault with any of my girlfriends, particularly if she thought that a relationship might become serious. I used to tell her to give the girls a chance. Eventually, I concluded that she probably saw my girlfriends as rivals for her only child's affection. The teen years gave way to the 20s, and at the beginning of a postgraduate academic year stay in France as an English language teaching assistant, I met Kathleen. We were both English assistants at two different high schools in the same town. I came from England, Kathleen from the United States. Our relationship did indeed become serious, and we married and decided to make a home in America. The conclusion that I gave at the end of the first paragraph only begins to explain the turbulence that my mother created on occasions during the 16 years from my engagement in 1976 to her death in 1992. We were treated to all manner of manipulations in letters and phone calls, and our visits to England to see her and other family members were punctuated by outbursts of temper, usually for reasons that were clear only to my mother. We soon realized that she was trying to drive a wedge between us. The only way for us was to present a united front, which we did. Indeed, my mother remarked on was to present a united front, which we did. Indeed, my mother remarked on that, and even though she eventually stopped trying to manipulate our relationship, the outbursts continued. I was able to spend the last 2 weeks of my mother's life with her in the hospital, where she had been admitted because of the later stages of terminal cancer. Just before I arrived, a cancer-induced stroke took away her power of speech, but not her hearing and understanding. Despite all that had happened during the past 16 years, I was grateful just to be able to be present with her during her final days. After my mother's death, Kathleen and I often reminisced about my mother's volatile personality, wishing that our relationship with her might have been more peaceful. 15 years passed. Then, we began reading Dr. Weiss's work and using his regression CDs. From the first session, I found it easy to go to past lives. One of my early recollections was of a life in which I was the manager of a large estate in Derbyshire, England, sometime in the 19th century. Imagine my surprise when I realized that my wife in that life was my mother in this lifetime, and that Kathleen was an estate employee, probably a cook or member of the kitchen staff, something that she has been able to confirm in her own regressions. Kathleen and I had felt a strong mutual attraction then but were unable to go beyond a platonic relationship, as I was married. Subsequent regressions to that lifetime provided more information. I believe that the estate might have been Chatsworth because of an incident that happened in the past life when my wife, my current life mother, and I were shopping in Buxton, the nearest large town to the Chatsworth estate. She and I were in a store when Kathleen and some other estate employees entered. I turned to greet Kathleen and the others, and, when I turned back to my wife, there on her face was the same look of annoyance, frustration, and disdain that I had seen many times on my mother's face in this lifetime, especially after Kathleen and I became engaged. During another regression to that lifetime, that same look was on my wife's face when Kathleen stopped by our house to inquire about my health after I suffered a respiratory illness that eventually led to my death. I had been helping a local farmer at lambing time, had been caught in a heavy rainstorm, and had contracted a cold, which became bronchitis and then pneumonia. Interestingly enough, I suffered from bronchitis on a number of occasions as a child in this lifetime. We certainly have our own evidence that souls do incarnate in groups. Whether Kathleen, my mother, and I have been together in additional lifetimes, we do not know. Before we began past life regression work, we put lifetimes, we do not know. Before we began past life regression work, we put my mother's reaction to our relationship and marriage down to possessiveness and desire to control. Regressions to that past life, coupled with meditation, reflection, and other spiritual work, have revealed to us how much my mother's reactions were based in fear of losing the person around whom she had built her reality. It would be easy for us to comment that there was no need for her to fear losing her loyal husband in that past life for her son's love in this life, but her fear was real for her, and it manifested itself as described. We are now able to see her actions and reactions with compassionate understanding. We see her as a wounded soul, and we wish her inner peace and healing. It is fascinating just how many themes and aspects of past lives occur again in present lifetimes. I have visited, in chronological order, lives as the wife of an Indian nobleman, a Roman senator, a European builder in medieval times, a blacksmith, a royalist cavalryman in the English Civil War, a professional court harpsichordist, a mariner, the estate manager, a French female professional theatrical singer, and a young German living in Berlin just before and during most of World War II, the lifetime prior to this one. Architecture and buildings interest me in this lifetime, as does music. I sing as an amateur in recitals and have recently begun learning the piano. I enjoy being at sea, and in fact Kathleen and I used to give enrichment presentations in maritime history for passengers on cruise ships. In 2 of the presentations, I sang sea shanties. And my profession in this life. Before I retired, I taught French and German at college for 32 years. Although time and effort on my part were needed to learn the 2 languages, I did not experience any difficulty in learning them to a level of fluency. Past life regression is a valuable tool for personal growth. When accompanied by a karmic connection, it can lead to a deeper, spiritual understanding of reality. We are all here to learn, to heal, and to help other souls to do the same. Kathleen and I are profoundly grateful to have had the opportunity to be reconnected as soulmates in this lifetime and to be able to nurture a loving relationship that has been rewarding, fulfilling, and, most of all, spiritually energizing. We have found our compass, and that compass is love. Mark and Kathleen love triangles are far more complex and enduring than we realize. Present life mother and daughter-in-law were romantic rivals in the 19th century, and the jealousies from that time were carried over to the current lives. Even though the relationships had changed and the woman who had been Mark's wife reincarnated as his mother, her insecurities persisted. Past life therapy can heal these emotional wounds, and Mark's mother might have benefited if she had had the inclination and the opportunity to experience a regression to that Derbyshire lifetime. Many other emotions and feelings may be carried over from past lives. Anger, love, fear of loss or separation, rivalries, mistrust, concerns about betrayal, affinities, a sense of powerlessness, and overprotectiveness are only some of these. The relationship is repaired when the past life origins of the problems are recalled and released. Then the relationship can be completely fresh, clear, and in the present moment. All the old baggage is discarded. If relationship problems appear to make little sense given the present life determinants, and if the problems seem resistant to reason and correction, these are clues that they may be originating from one or more of your past lives. Our souls are constantly reuniting in order to grow and evolve. To know the past can heal the present and lighten the future. Mark and Kathleen close their story in this chapter with a wonderfully apt metaphor. We have found our compass, they write, and that compass is love. Love is indeed that most exquisite instrument, helping us to navigate the rocky terrain of this earthly plane, guiding us toward the heavens, toward our home. Whenever we become lost in the woods, it reorients us with a gentle touch, realigning us on our path. Its force is magnetic, its wisdom unerring. Love is the device, the direction, and the destination. It points the way and it is the way. Love is our true nature. Soulmate, this is a part of Zindagi Ki Roshni Consultancy. It has been established for those who have lost someone and for those who are very sad in their life. About 100 PDF books and 20 short audio books of this topic will be sent to those who join it. This data will be sent to their email or WhatsApp. If you want to join this organization, then please send WhatsApp message to this number.